everyone, and welcome to the CT Cloud podcast. This is episode 6 of our podcast. I'm Kade Herbert. I'm your host. I'm the marketing coordinator here at CallTower. And joining us today, we have William Rubio, our guest. He is the CRO at CallTower, and he's going to be walking us through our topic today, which is GCC High. So I guess obviously the first question for you, William, would be, what is GCC High, and what does it mean?
Yeah, no, Kate, I think that's a great question to start. And it's a pretty simple answer, but I definitely think that there's some confusion around that. Just to explain briefly what it is, Microsoft has two different Azure clouds, if you want to call them. One is called the commercial cloud, which is where Office 365 and Teams and all those other environments, Enterprise Office 365, they all sit in there.
Like your standard business organization commercial version.
Commercial, schools, nonprofits, they all sit there. Yep.
Probably even like smaller government offices, like a town or like a water district or something would be in that smaller commercial one, right?
Correct. Well, yeah. So they do advertise that as GCC without the high.
Yeah. So okay, all right.
So there is you get the Office 365 commercial and you get the Office 365 GCC. So you're right. Okay. That's municipalities, cities, states, that, property taxes, owner information, that type of stuff.
So what you need some government clearance, some government security, but not all the government security.
Exactly. Okay, yep.
Gotcha.
And then on the government side, the Microsoft built an Azure Government Cloud, which is primarily for the Department of Defense in the U.S. And that's the way that was built. Now, in order to meet the unique requirements of it for contractors and different requirements like the International Traffic of Arms Regulations, which is called ITAR, CMMC, which is a new regulation that came out last year. There's another one called NITS 180. So there's a lot of different compliance regulations that the DoD has, the Department of Defense, that requires contractors to actually be part of the government Azure cloud, but they're basically in a separate tenant within the cloud. So imagine a different building, but in that building, it's only the DoD and all these defense contractors.
Gotcha. Okay. So for your smaller government, you have your basic security means. And then when you go to GCC High, that's your defense contractors, and they have to be a little bit more strict with their information because it's that much more, it's like national security type stuff. So you need to go.
It is, yeah, and it's not even that they have to be more strict. It's that they have to go through a validation process. Whether you're making a nail for the DoD or you're providing a microchip, you all go through some validation process. So to make sure that you're eligible to go into that environment, to go into that Azure government cloud.
Gotcha.
So it's one of those things that you have to, if you want to work with the DoD, you have to apply, and you have to work with some Microsoft partners to get in there. But once you're in there, the whole thing is, what do you do about voice, right? You're using Microsoft Teams GCC High, again, just a different version of commercial, to communicate back and forth internally in your organization. Also using it to work with your contacts over at the Department of Defense. And the question comes up about, well, what do I do with the voice?
Right. Yeah. Like how do you voice enable a system that has several more layers of security, and it lives outside that building that you talked about? How do you make that work?
It does, exactly right. And the thing is, with because of these requirements or these compliance regulations, Microsoft, you can't go to Microsoft and get the voice, because Microsoft has to keep voice and data separate based on some of these like ITAR requirements and some other ones. So what winds up happening is that you have to look for a voice provider that could actually provide you the services. Now, there's really only two ways to get it. One is you could actually put an SBC, a session border controller, in your office. You could bring in different carriers. You control the environment as a customer, and you can manage it that way.
Which sounds expensive. Yeah.
It's expensive. It's cumbersome. There's no redundancy. You still got to put in your own securities and so forth. So it's not really kind of the new way of doing things, right? And then the other option is you can look for a cloud provider like CallTower that is approved by Microsoft to actually work within GCC High. And as of right now, we're pretty much the only ones globally that are allowed to work in GCC High and provide the voice. And with voice, we provide not just your audio conferencing for conference calls. So when you join a Microsoft Teams meeting, we provide you with that dial-in number, the option to have the system call you back. But we also do the full PBX or phone system replacement, so that we provide to you every time you're going to dial a 10-digit number, whether it's to a cell phone domestically or internationally, we're going to be able to provide that feature for you.
Fantastic. So essentially, with Microsoft, you just get the Office 365 bundle, but with CallTower as your voice provider, you get that voice-enabled Teams that we have the optimized network for, and that we have the robust security and support systems for. So you get.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Exactly. So we have a lot of customers that are coming to us that are leaving more premise based, or leaving some of the other carriers that out there, leaving that old, more traditional type model. They're moving everything into the cloud, but obviously they got to be compliant in order to continue to work with the Department of Defense. This is an easy way. If the Department of Defense is telling you you have to move to GCC High in Teams, well, it's just a normal evolution that you do that as step one to collaborate. Step two is, why do I have a phone sitting on my desk or my voicemail somewhere else?
Right.
And I just have everything in Teams, right? And that's where it comes about.
Yeah, and when the Department of Defense tells you to do something, from what I hear, it's probably a good idea to go with it. to keep all your
exactly. I mean, if you want to
safe.
continue to work with the Department of Defense and make some money out of them.
Exactly, absolutely. Well, that's fascinating. So there's all these different levels of security, and CallTower seems to be the only real provider that can offer the voice at this level when combined with Microsoft Teams. So that's
Yeah,
really,
and we do have some partners that, if you want to go through that qualification process to get into GCC High, again, once you're in there, we do the voice part of it. That's our bread and butter. But we do work with some strategic partners that we can help you go through that vetting process to get into GCC High if you are working with the government, and we can provide that services to you. Again, it's more of a partnership with some companies that have been doing it for a while, but we can definitely help you out with that as well.
Okay, very cool. Well, thank you so much for breaking that down for us. So now we know what GCC High is, first of all, and how CallTower fits into that equation. So I think yeah.
I was going to mention, I think, the one thing to mention to our partners out there, obviously, I think our customers will know, but to the partners, we're not selling to the government, right? So things like SLED and other things, I mean, we're selling to the contractors of the government. So it is a business commercial transaction. It's just where you're placing the services that's a little bit different. So it's not really selling directly to the government. It's a government contract.
Okay. All right. So so if partners are interested in kind of breaking into new markets, they can look for government contractors as well as the commercial level.
There's a lot of them.
Oh yeah, definitely. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much, William. Thank you for breaking that down, and we'll be back in a few weeks with our next episode. So stick around, and thank you for joining us.
Sounds great. All right. That was a good one.